We are early. 4 minutes early. No one's here. Oh my goodness. What's up, DB Mac? How are you, buddy? How's life treating you? I hope well. Jay Cortez. What's up, Jesse? Good. How are you? Yeah, it's definitely. I've talked to 3 people, and it says one person's here. So I know you're lying, YouTube. Now there's 6 people. And I know the 3 people definitely hit a like. So that's weird. What's up, JP from Guilford, New York? DC, how are you this evening? Motorboat, brr. What's up, Will? Gringo, how are you, Gringo? Hey, Shari. Troy. Heller, he says. I hope all is well for you too, JP. Thank you for joining us tonight. Awesome, Gringo. Awesome. I'm going to get to your experience this week as well. I got it sitting on the desk downstairs. What's up, Neck? How are you, buddy? Lisa, James, Poppy. Neck came and visited me today, all the way from Illinois. He came down to go to the Bigfoot Fest in Whitehall, New York. I was not able to attend because I was working on videos, but he brought me a bunch of awesome stuff. He brought me some fruit, some weird kind of fruit that's, I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm trying to get my tongue acclimated to it. What's up, Janie? Delirium. So that's from Mr. Shackleneck. Sonia, how are you? And then he got me a thermo imaging camera with a flashlight. Dude, this thing is awesome. Neck, I played with it a little bit, and holy cow, it is awesome. But I felt really guilty for not being able to spend time with him. But I'm glad he and his wife, Teresa, beautiful woman, and his daughter and son-in-law pimped out in a CIA SUV, blacked out. I was like, Radio Shack. Janie, how are you, Janie? Make sure I said hi to everyone. Delirium, I know I said hi to Delirium. Firehorse, how are you? Audio, what's up, Lot Lizards? Susan from Jersey. From Jersey. What's up, Caden? How are you, buddy? Claire Harris is with us tonight. How are you, dear? I'm doing well. I'm happy that I finally got my favorite tea of the season, but I like it year-round. This Harney and Sons got this autumn cranberry black tea. It's fucking delicious. Simone, how are you tonight, Simone? There's Joe. How are you, Joe? Sniff it out. Steve-O. Naroshi. How are you tonight, Naroshi? Poppy from Sweden. So I do have a lot of really good experiences tonight. I got some lot lizard experiences. I think we'll just have a really decent night tonight. Fun night. Oh, look who's coming to say hi to everybody. First thing. Come here, buddy. Hi. Oh, come here. First thing, he wants to say hi to everybody. Hey, buddy. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Yeah, buddy. There he is. He wanted to come in and say hi to everybody before the live stream got going. He heard me talking. You gonna get up on the desk, buddy? Say hi to everybody. Yeah, good boy. It's doing well. It's doing well, Caden. How about you? Motor City, how are you? No Merc. Just got pizza out of the oven. What's up, Jeremiah Israel? How are you? Oh, shit. Dude, I thought you were going to go head first into the freaking paper shredder, buddy. Go lay down somewhere. All right. So I think we'll start the evening off with a Dogman experience. What's up, Frank Morris? How are you, buddy? Brandy C, how are you? G-Man Perez. So we'll start the paranormal experience. JP, I did not get it. Unless you got an email saying that I got it back or I did receive it, I didn't get it. So if you could please try again, I'd really appreciate that. Oh, Grace, thank you. I'm glad that you're here. Grace Jernstrom, thank you for joining us. We have fun here. It's a whole different kind of ball game. There's no drama. Everyone's real good. No freak outs. Ah! All right. So we'll start this off right. All right, no Merc. If I didn't get it, like I said, if I didn't get it, if you got an email back saying, "Hey, I got this," I honestly didn't get it. If I did, you know how it is. See, Will, I got Will's. Thank you, Will, for verifying that. Maine Coon Izzy, how are you? Nicola, what's going on? Tyler Steven, Clint. Every time, I'm not even going to say it because I'll sound really perverse. But every time I see Clint, Mike Turner, how are you, buddy? Every time I see Clint's name, at first I think of the one word that we shouldn't think. Well, we should think of if you're men, or whatever. But that I almost say it every time, like, "What's up, Clint?" And I just said it like an asshole. What's up, Jody Bateman? How are you, buddy? Who's 59 today? Whose birthday? Oh, happy Saturday. Okay, I miss. Does anyone have a birthday today? Is anyone's birthday today? What's up, Robert Sharp? How are you? Carla, Richard Kraft. Hello from Canada, my friend. Anyone? No birthdays? I'm doing well, Jody Bateman. Thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. Next week, Kathy Hayes, you get a birthday song next week then. My granddaughter was born today. And for UPD, congratulations. That's a beautiful gift. That is awesome. It's my unbirthday today. Congratulations, though. And for Kakalina, how are you, dearie? What's up, Ken? Dude, I don't usually everyone knows that I don't watch YouTube. And if I do, I don't watch cryptid shit or paranormal stuff. I just can't because that's all I deal with all day long. But I watch 23&1, my favorite YouTube channel in the world. But I ended up watching that TV show on Netflix, Monsters, about the Menendez brothers. Holy fucking shit, was that creepy. Wow, man, it was just wrong in so many ways. I was like, oh my Lord. Was it? It was good. It was creepy. And Gringo, thank you, my friend. Yeah, it was amazing, actually. I liked it because, all right, so I really liked it because they made you think all different angles. And it was well made, to be honest with you. It wasn't cheesy like the Dahmer shit. It was well made. So like at one part you're like, huh, did that really happen? And then did this really happen? In the end, it's just like you're just like, whoa, all right, now I'm fucked up completely. So check it out. It's not a horror, but I mean it's mentally it's a horror. Eey. Anyway, let's get into a Dogman experience to start this live stream off with. Right. I was a Baltimore Police Department detective, and at the time in early 2021, I worked directly out of the Northern District in the city. On the night in question, I was in my office at home late at night in suburban Howard County, Maryland. I live alone. I often would find myself unable to sleep at night, so I would head to my office to work. That particular evening, I was going through some case files that I had been working on. I heard an unusual noise. It was just different enough from anything that I'm used to hearing around the house that it did catch my attention. Not to mention, it was around 2 in the morning. It sounded like someone or something heavy was hitting the ground. It was coming from the yard behind my house. I stood up and cocked my head to the side to try and pinpoint the exact location. But as I listened closer, I realized that it sounded like it might actually be much closer to the house, like right outside of the kitchen, in the back. I stepped away from the desk and I moved towards my office door. My office just down the hall from the kitchen. So I opened the door slowly and stepped out to investigate. But first I listened again to be sure I was correct on the direction that it was coming from, and sure enough, I heard it again from outside of the kitchen area. I started to make my way down the hallway, and as I got closer to the noise, it was getting louder. I reached the kitchen and looked toward the door. The noise had gone silent, almost like whatever was making that noise knew I was listening to it. I slowly and very quietly opened the door to the outside, and when I did, I was shocked at what I was looking at. Standing on the patio, moving around and making noise, was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was 7 feet tall and totally covered in black or reddish brown fur. It had a long snout with teeth protruding from odd angles. The creature turned toward me when I opened the door, almost like it instinctively knew that I was there. I was totally quiet when I had opened the door. The creature quickly focused on me and lunged toward me, hissing. I quickly stepped back inside and shut the door. I had to think fast and determine a suitable plan of action. I decided to head back to my office, where I hoped to watch it undetected from my office window. I proceeded to look through that window, but it was not long before I heard sounds of the creature breaking into my house through the kitchen door. I pulled out my gun and aimed it down the hallway. As I slowly opened the office door, I could hear but not see this creature in my kitchen. I listened as it was moving around with a lot of force and stepping heavily on my wooden floor. I could also hear it snorting as it moved about. It sounded like something straight out of a horror movie. I thought that if I could just stay quiet long enough, it may leave, which would have been the optimal outcome. I listened to it for a while it moved in the kitchen, but then I heard it go back into the dining room. I could hear glass breaking and furniture being moved around. It seemed to be very angry. I finally opened my office door all the way and stepped out completely into the hallway and slowly walked toward the dining room, my gun still raised. As soon as I got close, I peeked my head around that corner. It turned its head toward me and instantly started to growl. It had a very angry look on its face with an almost human-like expression. I sensed that it wanted to tear me apart right there and then. But instead of rushing and attacking me, it suddenly went silent. It quickly rushed back to the kitchen and hurled itself out through the back door. I didn't know what to think at that point. On one hand, I was relieved that it had left, but at the same time, I somehow felt concerned that it may return at some point. I decided then and there that I would find out more about this creature. My confusion and fear turned to anger. I wanted to know who or what this thing was and why it came to my house. I've done a lot of research, mainly online, but it's been difficult to find anything that really matches what happened. I wonder why it came into my house and what it was looking for. The other descriptions online are generally similar. Bipedal, pointed ears, large, yellow-tinged eyes, canine-like teeth, and a very pungent sulfur-like odor that I can still smell. So, why did it break into his house and bounce? Whose birthday is it? Sean's birthday? I gotta see first. I gotta see Sean's birthday. Where's Sean say it's my birthday? Sean Lynch. Oh, fuck yeah, Sean! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to Sean Lynch! Happy birthday to you! What's up, Alexis Martinez? How are you, dear? Tammy, how are you? Oh, Tigger's already been here. Tigger opened the live stream with me. Orphan, what's going on? So, why do you think anyone got any ideas? Like, okay, it busted into the dude's house. Obviously, he opened the door and looked at it. So maybe out of curiosity, it wanted to see. But why would it leave his house so rapidly? It walked around his kitchen, it walked around his dining room, disturbed furniture, broke some glass, but then just to run out of his home and hurl his. Obviously, we know these things know what firearms are. But to be afraid of a pistol, maybe. Very interesting. Very interesting. This one goes out to happy birthday, Sean Lynch. Birthday boy. Sean Lynch, $20 says $20. All right. Carrie Gale, I'm from Australia as well. Good day, mate. That's right. Me and Simone Hamilton are both from Australia. All right. Reptilian experience out of New Mexico. 5 rings. I knew they were going to be kicking their ass. Thank you for giving me the update, though. Have you heard of Dogman in New Zealand? To be quite frank with you, maybe 1 or 2 experiences out of New Zealand Big Gun, but not a whole heck of a lot for some reason. Not sure. What's up, George? Yeah, I'm drinking my tea, buddy. Definitely experiences out of Russia. I wish we had more. I wish there wasn't such a I don't know. Just imagine what North Koreans, imagine how many experiences North Koreans have. It's they're so isolated and those people are just sitting ducks for the Dogman. They're like, shit, I'm really hungry. Let's cross the border from China. Let's go over to North Korea and get those fuckers. Their government doesn't care. Man, there'd be a lot, though. What's up, Glenn? Wow, Carrie Gale says she's from New South Wales to Simone, but not to me. Doesn't acknowledge my Australian background and heritage. God dang it. The Gold Coast. Many dogmen in the Gold Coast region of Australia, though. Low and to the left, Nicole. Thank you for asking. Horror movie. What horror movie? Did I miss something? David Harrison, how are you, bud? Thanks for joining us tonight. Never want to see one. What did I miss? Martinez, Australian horror movie. Oh, what's that one in Australia? There's an Australian horror movie that was like back in the day. I remember it fucked me up when I was a little kid. It wasn't much. It was more like a terror. Like there was a teacher and she had a bunch of kids and these guys wore masks and they ended up like in a cave. It was fucking creepy. It was like from the 80s. Wolf Creek. Was that the movie? Point Break. Yeah, that's a definite. Girth is with us. What's up, Girth? What's up, Bobby? How are you tonight? It was from the 80s. That's all I remember. I've looked for it to see if I could see it or find it anywhere, but I don't know the name. Anyone seen Porky Pies? I remember Porky's, but not Porky Pies. What's up, Daryl Williams? How are you tonight? Ready is a term that has shown up in many experiences about close encounters of the third kind. I'm very much on my guard for when this word shows up because I have had an encounter in which the word was spoken to me by a reptilian. In August of 1959, my parents and I were traveling to Colorado Springs on a vacation. This was before my 11th birthday on August 19th. For some unknown reason, Dad decided that we would stop and visit Mount Capulan, an extinct volcano in the northeastern corner of New Mexico. Mom stayed in the tourist center while Dad and I climbed up the side of the volcano and down into the crater. Then we returned to the center. I had a desperate need to use the bathroom. As I was walking through the center, I felt myself stop in mid-step. I felt my mind lift out of my body and drop straight through the floor. How deep, I cannot imagine. My drop ended in an arched tunnel deep underground. The tunnel was lit with orange lights. Standing in front of me was a smallish being or entity that I now know I can identify as a reptilian. I would estimate its height to be somewhere around 4 feet tall. It was wearing a gray-colored robe with long sleeves and a hood. The most I could see of its face was intense, oversized, dark eyes. In its left hand, number of fingers unclear, but definitely a thumb. It held something that we today can describe as an iPad or something. In its right hand, it had some sort of stylus. It looked straight up at me with a mind to talk and said, "What are you doing here? We are not ready for you yet." Then my mind zoomed back through the ground and back into my head, where I stood in this tourist center. Immediately, I double timed it to the ladies' room and got relief just in time. Since then, I've lived wondering when we, that is the alien reptilian, would be ready for me. I've had other experiences, UFO related, like men in black dressed in a black warrant officer's uniform, driving a yellow car on a military base near Keflavik, Iceland. He told me go home and pointed toward the southwest. North America, maybe the alien entities have visited me and I don't remember. Thank you for letting me share. See if I missed anybody. What's up, Dash? How are you, buddy? Black Queen Jax, how are you, dear? David Lopez. H. Did you get the name of the Polk station kids supposedly went when they reported the incident? It seems like their story would be easy to verify if any of the kids came in. It'd be easy to verify if it wasn't covered up. Ever talk to H and H? No. Nope. No, it's if the men in black were there, if men in black are there, there's no way of verifying anything at that point because everyone at that point is signing non-disclosures, I'd imagine. Fairy, how are you? Just talking about an old experience that H had just listened to. To be honest, Glenn, I have not had time to do anything this September. I've not even had time to breathe. I have been working on the channel every day, like literally longer than I awake, it seems like. And no days off at all. Twin Peaks was cool. I like Twin Peaks. Aramaic, what's up, buddy? Black-Eyed Kids. This is a very interesting one. Black-Eyed Kids out of South Africa. This happened in 2011 when I was training for the Peace Corps service in Cape Town, South Africa. Most houses here have bars on their doors and windows and are surrounded by gates and fences. The village that I trained in was large and sprawling. My host family was wealthier than most. And while the house was nice, most neighbors had much simpler dwellings, tin shacks and such. Our fence was tall and stable with a thick wall of gate, and some of the neighboring fences were small barbed wire. The training schedule was packed, and I was usually gone all day, every day. When I got home in the afternoons, I would often play with some of the neighborhood kids. Sundays was my only off day. One particular Sunday, toward the end of training, I was home alone. I was outside hanging laundry, and I noticed two small boys, about 7 or 8 or so, in the next yard staring at me. I'm white, and I am used to this reaction. I have never seen these kids before. I smiled at them and continued to hang my laundry. They continued to play, but stare at me. My unease with these kids grew, and I thought it was because I was annoyed at them staring at me. The longer they stared, the more creepy it felt. I looked up to notice that they were now gone. I quickly went inside and locked the door. The gate was already locked, and there was a tall fence surrounding the property. I looked out the window of my bedroom a few minutes later to see one of the kids scaling the fence. I thought about going out and saying something, but felt compelled to stay in the house and ignore them. The next time I looked, the kid had just landed in the yard, and somehow he saw me through sliver of window I was peering through and made eye contact. Then I noticed that this kid had eyes that were solid black. I felt like he was reaching into me and grabbing my insides. The kid prowled around the windows and doors for a while. I don't know what happened to the other one, but by the time I was totally creeped out, I now have moved to a permanent site shortly after. Charlotte Knight, how are you? I don't, Girth. I don't think they are extinct. Teresa, I just did an upload about Redding like 2 days ago. That one's a messed up one, Steve-O. What's up, Tyler Marshall? How are you, dearie? Speaking of Twin Peaks, I have like this book that is it's canon to the show or whatever, and it just adds more to the show. I actually clicked 59th. I clicked, there's now a button where you can put Armando Angel, how are you? There's now a button where it says ads balanced, low, or high. And I did click low. Mr. G Rattlesnake, are you talking about the picture behind me? No, a subscriber painted that for me. Subscriber painted that probably a year or two ago. It was really nice. She painted me a whole bunch of them too. I know, Closeted Psychic. I know, it's crazy. This month has been unbelievable. One, Stephen Quayle gave me a prop, like shouted me out on his website, which was unbelievably amazing. I feel blessed that he did, because to get noticed by Stephen Quayle is like, holy shit. Like, to me, that is bigger than Coast to Coast, you know? No, he is definitely no Dan Quayle. Johnny Ohm, thank you very much, my friend. Oh, really, Alexis? Wow, that's crazy. Tyler, thank you. I appreciate that. What does a hot dog use for protection? Condiments. Oh, such a knee slapper. Maybe one or two, Girth. I'm glad that you're here, Closeted Psychic. Yeah, I think the last time we saw you was a couple of months ago. What's a xenomorph? On Aliens, the Alien TV show or movie. Thank you. It's my Lucha Libre, where he fights Dogman. Wait, Dogman, Frankenstein, the Mummy. Yes, James Cameron's world of aliens. All right. A land 11. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that love. Landscaper sees a pterosaur. This is Tom from Philadelphia. Sorry, I just had to say that. This is Tom from Philadelphia. I do landscaping work in the area of Gladwin. The properties there are very large with lots of space between the houses. It is mostly a vast wooded area. My fellow worker and I had finished eating lunch on the front steps of the house, and I went back down the street, Country Club Lane, to put our leftovers in the truck. I saw a strange dinosaur / bird-like creature flying above. At first, it was silhouetted against the sky, but I clearly saw a long, skinny tail that ended in an outcropping. Silhouetted as it was, I described this outcropping at the time as a knob or bulbous shape at the end of its tail. 11, thank you again. The tail trailed between this creature as it flew. It then was obscured by some trees, but I continued to watch its projected path. It was pretty much traveling in a straight line. It reemerged on the other side of the trees, and I saw a long tail with the knob at the end. Then, at one point, it caught the light in such a way that it was no longer silhouetted. The sun must have come out of the clouds. As it traveled away from me and to my left, I saw the dorsal side. It was a somewhat tannish golden color, and because it was such a uniform color, it appeared not necessarily to have feathers, but possibly skin or like leather or possibly small scales. I told my coworker that I thought I had seen holy shit, 11, thank you, that I had seen a pterodactyl. At the time, I didn't know the difference between a pterodactyl and a pterosaur. I found out later that pterodactyls do not have tails. When I described the tail to my coworker, he said, "You mean something like a lion's tail?" I realized that he described it very well in those words. The next night, I did some research on the computer for birds that look like pterodactyls. I found out then that the pterodactyl does not have a tail. It was a pterosaur. I found 4 flying reptiles. The pterosaur is what looked like what I saw. I found out that there had been many sightings of these pterosaurs as well, more so than pterodactyl-like creatures. Some people describe them as large bat-like creatures. Not everyone mentions a long tail. That actually pterodactyl, again, did not have a tail. Pterosaurs that I named. The ones that have been cited by others are bat-like, that they don't have feathers. They have hands at the bend of the wing. They are not bat-like in that they do not flap their wings quickly. They are more or less gliding. I have to be honest in saying that I did not see hands or fingers, but there was so much for me to observe in such a short amount of time that I mostly noticed the tail and the color. The shape of the head also escapes me now. My very first impression, the moment I spotted it, was not so much that it was a bat or a bird, but rather a bird-like dinosaur. What's up, Pops? How are you? Ignacio, how are you? Rollins, I didn't say hi to Mr. Rollins. Erica Nielsen, how are you? Roberta. Oh my God, Jesus, Tyler, that's fucking crazy. Was that today? El Santo, haha, you know it. Was that today, Tyler, that happened? My goodness. What's up, Joe? Yesterday. Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Are you guys talking about Florida, Ignacio? Am I saying your name right? Ignacio Riaz? We should definitely keep, if anyone's from Florida, let's keep a prayer out for those folks. Prayers go out to you, my friend. Aramaic! Holy shit, thank you, buddy. If you ever got to see... No, I did not, David. No, I wish I did, but I did not, unfortunately. I am well, Erica. I am well. Thank you. 11. Holy, wow. You guys are awesome. Between Gringo, 11, and Aramaic, thank you so much. I appreciate all the love. What's up, Melissa? How are you? Guilty, I live in Lakeland. Ooh. That's sad. That is sad. John Sumner, who is in our live stream every once in a while. I haven't seen him tonight, but he was hit. His home was hit by a tornado. Mr. Rattlesnake, thank you so much. His home was hit by a tornado and flattened. His two sons were okay. And it was like right after a live stream. Just fucking insane. I've had a couple of different in Sweden. The person that I interviewed he talked about like old school dogmen and such. If you go to my search bar or type in Jeff Nadolny, Sweden on YouTube. So type in Jeffrey Nadolny or Jeff Nadolny and then Sweden. The video should pop up, to be honest with you. Girth, you little pervert. Richard, just your average crazy. Just your average crazy. Bingo! Bigfoots are just as scary, Ignacio. Just as scary, my friend. I definitely would not ever want to see one. Janie has. Poor Janie. This one I found very strange, and then after I do this, I will break off a $20 as $20 for DB Mac. But I found this really strange by the way they describe the creature, and how they describe the creature is, well, you'll see. In 1999, I was working at Caldona State Park in South Central Pennsylvania, and I got to know the back areas pretty well. The areas most tourists do not get to see. Approximately 1 mile from the park on a long all-dirt road was a large clearing in the woods, which was cleared for power lines and gas well use. Once you get to the spot, you would have to walk down a long hill until you came to an abandoned trail. If you followed this trail, it would take you deep into the forest. One day I followed it and found that it led to an old dilapidated cabin, not on the park cabin records, and it looked like it had not been used for many decades. Even though it was daylight, I still got this creepy feeling like I should not be here, and worse, that something was watching my every move. A few weeks later, while I was off duty, 2 of my friends and I were just out driving around enjoying the summer night. And since I knew all of the back roads, I was taking them on a kind of tour. No, none of these roads are off limits or secret, so I was not breaking any rules or laws. Other than mysterious cabin, the park doesn't have any secrets. At about 11 p.m., I came to that familiar clearing, and I mentioned something about an old cabin. Being a brave soul, I talked them into letting me show it to them. So I grabbed my flashlight and we took off down the hill and onto the path that led to the cabin. I took the lead and we walked halfway when all of a sudden my flashlight shined on something on the right side of the path. Almost immediately, I stopped and said, "Did you guys see that?" To which they responded, "See what?" As I panned the light back to the right side of the road, I said, "That. There, standing by the tree, was a creature only seen in sci-fi movies. It had grayish olive colored skin, and it was very thin in its extremities. The calves and forearm muscles were very large, as well as its chest. The face was the strangest thing since. It had the typical alien gray head shape, but there was no mouth. It had a nose that was long and thin, but not longer than its chin. The eyes had this reddish gleam in the light, but not the size of most reported aliens, very small, even in human standards. I hate to make this reference for fear of questioning my sanity, but my best description was like what the goons look like in the Popeye cartoon. It leans oddly against this tree as if you were leaning on an armchair with only one arm. To make another TV show reference, but like the Fonz would lean on the jukebox. Immediately, everyone wanted to leave, but as we turned my flashlight, it went out. My friends told me to quit messing with them and turn the light back on, which I did inform them that it was not me. The light is literally out. I frantically continued to beat the flashlight to get it to work. As soon as it came back on, I immediately swiveled back around to shine it behind us. The creature had moved up significantly and now was on our left side. We hurried to the clearing, and once we got back up that hill to the main dirt road, things got worse. Out of the woods we had just come through was this high-pitched, blood-curdling screech noise, which, after it started, others started to answer back from the other side of the clearing. I had been in the woods all my life, and I have a degree from Penn State in wildlife management. Means I have never heard any noise like this in the wild. I know it was not an owl, bobcat, bear, bird, porcupine. You get the drift. Months went by without incident, other than not being able to shake that "I am watching you" feeling. I was to the point of feeling like I was being stalked. One night I went to get something from my truck. When I looked into the woods and saw those reddish glowing eyes staring at me from the shadows, I immediately ran into my house and grabbed the biggest knife. I am not a gun guy, to which my dad asked me, "What are you doing?" I told him I was tired of feeling stalked and was going to face this thing. He told me he was coming with me, but all along I knew he never truly believed me or my encounter. When we got outside, he nonchalantly asked, "Okay, where did you see this thing?" I pointed to the spot, to which he directed his flashlight. Much to his disbelief, there it was, and as soon as the light hit it, it tore off deep into the woods. My dad, an ex-Marine who served proudly during Vietnam, yelled at me to get back into the house with fear in his voice. To this day, it still creeps me out, even telling this experience, and my hands shake even while typing it. I am now in my 30s with a wife and my own children, and we live not far from the state park. Now, when I go outside at night, I still feel like I am being watched, to that point that when I get ready, a really strong feeling, my wife will not let me leave the house without her. Just a side note, for the first 5 years of our relationship, she too would catch sight of this creature, but mostly as it was going into the shadows. As further note, if anyone is questioning it, there are no drugs or alcohol or any substance involved in this, or any other encounter I have ever had. Oh shit, we got 300 people right now. Nice. Ignacio Reyes, send me that encounter. I'd like to hear it. What's up, Two-Way? Two-Way Brooklyn. Would you sell copies of the art on your wall? I can make them as posters. I might do that on my store underneath my channel, but I haven't yet. I probably should though, because that picture is copyrighted by my channel. I paid my dear friend Man TV to create it for me. I don't think they charge much for posters though, but that's a painting. I love it too. It's beautiful. She painted me one of UFOs in Washington D.C. And another kind of long portrait like that with like 6 or 7 dogmen with a mountain scene in the back. It's pretty cool. 11, thank you again, my friend. Holy shit. All right, JP. I will look after the live and I will send you an email letting you know I got it if it is there. This is another very strange one. This one goes out to Aramic because Aramic loves Mothman experiences, even though 11, thank you, holy cow. Even though Aramic does not believe in the Mothman, when you say you don't believe in it, you know you do. You know you do, Aramic. You dream about the Mothman. Sue Person. If anyone reads this, I think there's a Dogman on Rosebud Reservation. South Dakota, to be exact. I would not doubt that, Sue Person. Or Superior. Superior. That's a cool way. I like that. Superior. Wow. That's fucking really ingenious way of spelling that. And I would not doubt that because I've had some very strange, one of the most strangest Dogman experiences I ever had was out of South Dakota, to be honest with you. I'll share it here in a little bit. What's up, Darren K? Darren K! Thinks Mothman is false, guilty. I fucking love Aramic. I wanted to tell you something that happened in Santa Cruz, California, where I was born and raised. I'm kind of a night security person. It's my retirement job, and it was 2.5 years ago. I was there across the highway right outside of Santa Cruz Wilder Ranch State Park. It's about 2 miles north of Santa Cruz, and the highway goes between 2 cliffs. It's kind of, a mountain there, and I was just on the other side peering. I called my friend John because I said, John, the whole night I felt like I was being watched. Gringo, thank you. Being watched. And sure enough, over the porta potty, which is about 12 feet away, there was this black figure in the back of it just peering at me. And I said, John, I don't think I am really imagining this. It could be a shadow, but it wasn't a porta potty. And now it's starting to move back and forth. Well, I said a prayer. So I really started praying, and this is about 3 a.m. Everything is pitch black. Next thing that happened was I looked across the highway, and now this is a good distance away. It's about 150 feet away on the other cliff. Staring at me is this huge, it looked like a crow, very black. The wingspan, according to the mountain, was huge. It could have been altogether 14 to 15 feet in length. It had red eyes, but it did not seem to have a beak. I called my friend John again. John, I'm really creeped out. This thing is real, and if it is real, it's going to. And it started to do this wobbling toward the edge of the cliff. It looks like it's going to fly, and it did fly across the highway. John, it is real. This is tangible, and it lands over by me, about 15 feet away in a field, turns and pivots and starts walking toward me. Well, I'm kind of a weird person anyway, and I got angry, mainly angry. It was you there trying to scare the shit out of me. So I got out of my car and pointed and yelled, "You have no right to do this." I said, "The blood of Jesus," and I don't know whether it flew fast away, but the next thing I knew, it was not there. So they used the name of the Lord, and there was a lot of weird knows in that. So I had to kind of, take it out. Yeah, the blood of Christ. Rattlesnake, thank you. Can we see it? Yeah, give me a second. Hang on. So the name of the woman that painted this, I think she has a website. I know she was trying to get one. The other painting's downstairs, so I'm definitely not getting it. But her name is Cryptids from Pluto. So I think if you type that in on the Google search bar, you might get her paintings. But it's pretty freaking cool. The Washington. But she put a little Nazi sign on there because I had done an upload about like the Nazis and their Newfoundland, whatever, New Schwabenland under Antarctica. 11 in Aramaic. God dang it. You guys are blessing the shit out of me tonight. Thank you. That's right, DB Mac. Thank you for reminding me. That was good. That was fucking good. And yes, the cop car is out there tonight. Yep, every Saturday he's out there. What's up, OG? A bugle boy, bugling boy. CG or CJ, how are you? CJ Kendrick. Now that September is coming to a close, I am going to do some kayaking this month. I'm going to take a little bit of time to myself this month, but we are coming up to the best time to go up to where Tom Messick disappeared. And I'm going to really try some different things with the shofar and see if we can get any other kind of reactions from that area. I smoked just the Juul tobacco flavored. I know it's crazy, OG. Motorboat, I got to keep up with you. I will. I definitely will. But if you think about like last year when he disappeared November 15th. And when I went up there, it was my daughter's birthday. Her birthday's the 15th as well. When I went up there before I took her out to dinner and stuff, and we did our little daddy-daughter date, was the day that I caught the metallic noise. And I did blow the shofar that night or that day. And it was probably one of the scariest trips that I've been up there. How about a lot lizard experience? We're about an hour in. This is a fictional story. The only time you will hear a fictional story on this channel is when I talk about a lot lizard. What's up, Renee? How are you? This may not be fictional, actually. I'm just kidding. Gringo! The truck stop prostitute lot lizard creature known as Lola by the long hauled haulers who frequent the rest stop along Highway 12 had a reputation that preceded her. With legs that seemed to go on forever, her skin was a sickly shade of green, her eyes glowed an eerie red in the dark. It was a humid summer night when John, a young trucker, on his first cross-country haul, pulled into the dimly lit lot with his big rig. Exhausted and in dire need of a break, he hopped down from his cab, stretching his weary limbs. That's when he first spotted her, Lola, sauntering across the parking lot in her skin-tight dress that left little to the imagination. Jake felt his heart race as she approached, her hips swaying hypnotically. Up close, her beauty was mesmerizing, yet terrifying at the same time. Well, hello there, handsome, Lola purred, trailing a long green fingernail down Jake's chest. Looking for some company tonight? Jake's mind screamed at him to run, but his body betrayed him. Moving on his own accord, he found himself climbing back into his truck, Lola slinking in after him like a snake. The moment the door closed, her eyes splashed and her face contorted, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. He tried to scream, but no sound would come out. Lola's clawed hands pinned him down as she straddled him, her dress riding up, exposing no undies. Then, in one violent motion, she plunged her teeth into Jake's neck and began to feed. The next morning, police found Jake's body drained of blood, his face frozen in a mask of horror. But Lola was long gone, already hitching a ride to the next truck stop to continue her unholy feeding. And the legend of the lot lizard creature grew, a cautionary tale whispered among truckers on long, lonely nights. Ba-ding! No undies, the old Lola lot lizard, looking like a dirty, dirty girl. Peter Parsons, how are you? That's a little weird question to ask another dude, Peter, but low and to the left. I'm just teasing. Ugh. Okay, so that South Dakota, I said I'd talk about that South Dakota experience. And a few people that have been with the channel, I think I shared it the other day. This lady was she's a younger woman, and she went hiking out in the Black Mountains. She had parked her car, and she hadn't been hiking for very long. She was pregnant at the time, and she had come across what she thought was a coyote in one of those coyote traps. So its back leg was trapped in this trap, and it was lying there in pain, in wait, looking for, a way of getting out of it. She saw the animal, and she's like, how the hell am I going to get this animal out of this trap? I feel terrible for it. And she walks a little closer to it. Now, mind you, she's pregnant. Superior, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. So she's pregnant, so she's got to worry about herself and worry about her baby as well. But she sees something in this dog creature's eyes. She still thinks that it's a coyote, and she's saying, I'm not going to hurt you, you're fine, this and that. And she is able to release it from the trap. It didn't bite her. It may have growled, but it didn't bite her. Oh, thank you, Dash. Appreciate that. So it didn't bite her at all. Like it growled out of fear. And she continued her hike the creature got up and left. It ran off on four legs like a coyote would. So some time goes by, about a year. She's had her baby, and she is an avid hiker. So she has the backpack that she can put her baby in the front here and go hiking. And she did. She went to the same spot, a place that she's gone to many times before, the place that she released that coyote. So she's walking, she's pretty far in, and she gets to this area where she's kind of trapped, but not really. I mean, in a way, she is trapped because she looks up on the side of this mountainside there, and there's this really demonic looking dogman. And that's what she said to me. She's like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. We know what dogmen are. At that time, I didn't. But, it just, there was something so evil about this. It looked different than what you're going to hear next. And it's growling at her. It's coming down the side of the mountain at her. And she is backing away slowly. And all of a sudden, these three dogmen come walking up or run up to her and get between her and this demonic-like creature. The biggest one kind of pushes her back, but doesn't touch the baby, just enough to, get back. We're here to protect you. And it looks at the smaller of the dogmen, and that small one takes her, kind of like leads her out of that area. As they're hiking out and walking out rapidly, they can hear a fight go on between the two bigger dogmen and this demonic looking creature. They get to a spot where her car is now. She's safe. There's no one there, obviously. And she's looking at this dogman, and it's small, but something is familiar. Its eyes are familiar to her. And it looks at her, and it looks at her baby, and points at the baby and points at her belly. And as it's doing that, she notices this like scar on its clawed hand where it had been in that coyote trap. She at that point put two and two together. Holy shit, this is that creature that I rescued that day. She could tell something by the eyes. There's something familiar, but so she got into her car, got her baby situated, and left. She's never seen it since, never had any other experience since. She shared that experience with me one time. I was supposed to interview her, and her baby at this point was like 4 or 5 last time I talked to her. And she's a single mom, so she has a hard time getting free time. But I've never been able to get in touch with her again to have her interviewed. But it's an amazing, amazing experience. It's just fucking amazing to have that, this juvenile dog man points at the baby, points at her belly. And, to me, that's really pretty interesting. Amazing experience. Yeah. No, it was a dog man. It did have a tail. And I only wish that she got back in touch with me. I will, Tyler, right after the live stream tonight. Yes, I will. Yeah, in South Dakota. Yep. That's why I said I have an interesting South Dakota experience for you. MJ, thank you, dear. Maybe two-way. I never thought about that. Maybe it still does watch her while she goes hiking. Yeah, my family that lives in the res up north here, we have like my family's beliefs and lores are the Wendigo and like a shape-shifting creature. Steph, the contractor, is with us tonight. Mohawk. My family lives in Hogansburg on the Aquasati Reservation. My dad is doing great. He's doing amazing. Walking daily, and just really, I was kind of this weekend. I'll tell you something. September really, like with the growth this month and everything, I feel blessed. And I've just dedicated as much time to the channel as I could. But my aunt, my dad's sister, when we thought my dad was going to die, when he was put in palliative care, she came down from Bar Harbor like 3 times during that period of time. And she just came down this past weekend, just like Neck came from Illinois to see me. And I haven't been able to see anybody this whole month. I've done nothing except work. But, I don't know. To me, it's worth it. I like fucking spending time with you guys and sharing experiences. But I will tell you, on top of the Conjuring House video that I have out when me and my daughter went to the Conjuring House and we caught that cool shit, there's a haunted manor in Whitehall, New York called the Skeen Manor. And I just found out that you can rent the building out for the entire night and do paranormal investigations. So I asked Belle if she wanted to do that with me, and she said yes. So we are going to be doing that really soon too, which will be fucking awesome, because to me, the Conjuring House, when I went there and I caught the Crooked Neck Lady video, that was probably my greatest achievement. Well, besides raising 2 daughters that are fucking great. Not quite sure how to write this. I was hunting with some friends of mine outside of Addison, New York in November of '86. I was a top man on the drive. I had crested a hill and decided to take a break. Things were pretty slow as far as hunting. Typical fall day, no overcast, dry conditions. I'd just finished eating one of my many baby Ruths when something caught my attention about 50 yards east of where I was sitting. I looked toward the direction and noticed something that was black running very fast down the side of the hill. It happened so fast that I was not sure what I was seeing. It appeared to be upright and about my height. I stand 5'9", and it ran at an incredible speed. What is odd about this incident is that I had time to eat and sit down on a tree, and at the time, I was not even in stealth mode. I always scan the area before I stop for breaks, just in case I may have missed some game. I almost felt as if whatever it was observing me and had enough. I was definitely in a hurry to leave. I observed it for only at best 5 seconds. I could hear the breaking deadfall once I lost sight of it. Do you want a border jumper? Thank you, my friend. There are bear in this area. I hunt, but this seemed to be taller than the average black bear. My first thought was that it had to have been a bear. Even though it was upright, I remember standing up startled once I made eye contact with it. My second thought was maybe a black Angus steer had gotten loose from the farm. But again, steers don't run upright. I was a little spooked by the incident, the same feeling you have when you stumble upon a grouse at close range. I thought again and surmised if it was a bear, it was a very large one at that, and was able to run on its hind legs. I was not far from the end of the deer drive and met up with my friends at the truck. I asked them if they had seen any bear or deer, and they all said no. I did not tell them about my incident. on August of 95, the Corning Leader newspaper wrote an article on a possible Bigfoot sighting near Rathbone, New York. This area is not far from where I was hunting. There were casts taken as well as hair samples by the Department of Environmental Conservation. To my knowledge, they were submitted to Cornell University for testing. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate that. Samara, thank you for thanking people. I appreciate that. I really do. Danny, thank you. Appreciate the love. Oh. So I really wanted to talk really quick about the last experience I shared. What's up, Steph? That would be Gringo that gifted you, Steph. I really wanted to talk about the last experience about the Nephilim and the gentleman who had his 11-day fucking camping trip from hell. When this woman was sharing the experience with me, I was immediately thinking, after she said that he had seen two of them trapped in this like huge room, chained together, I immediately thought of the two Nephilim or three Nephilim that are supposed to be under the Tigris River. And I'm like, I wonder how many of these things may be captured by the government and held in deep underground military bases. I'm actually pretty tan, Darren. Like, it's probably the light, but I'm very tan. I will, Joe. I will. I don't think he did say it, but no, Paul C. No, maybe. No, and maybe. MJ, can't comment on that. Mr. G, I have a map of some D.U.M.s. I don't know how accurate it is. But it's I know Bill Cooper had done a rendition of different locations of deep underground military bases. So I'm sure if you look it up on Google, it's not going to be as accurate as you want it to be, but it will give you like there's one that is pretty realistic, and it is the one by Bill Cooper, and it looks like it was drawn in pencil. Emily, have a good night. Thank you for joining us. They've been in Canada. whoever, ASD. They've been in Canada for a very, very, very long time. Dash, email it to me. Actually, one of the biggest ones in North America is in the eye of Canada on the island, actually. Me neither, Ron. Me neither. I've never heard of a friendly reptilian. Oh shit, Darren, I'd love to hear some of them. If you want to send me an email, I'd like to hear what he says to you, if you don't mind. I'd really like to hear that. I did, and it's not out yet. No, miss. He is deceased 100%. Thanks, 59th. You know, I got a crawler experience. Let's do a crawler one. He's dead, Girth. He's been dead for 8 months. There's no silencing him. I talked to his son and his daughter-in-law, and I know where he's buried. I know, and I'm not telling anybody, so don't ask. It's just done. Yeah. He was poisoned. He was inadvertently poisoned. Because I think 100% because he shared way too fucking much. He couldn't shut up. He wouldn't shut up. I think he just went, done. I'm fucking done hiding this shit. And he's done. All right. Crawler experience. When I was 16, I was on an ATV with my two older sisters, 15 and 18. We were going to my grandmother's, which was less than 2 kilometers away from my parents' house. We were traveling through our fields, but on the way, I suggested we go around the fence so we didn't have to open the gates. It was pretty much the same path, just a bit off to the side. We had gates because this is our pasture for cows. As we got to the middle of the field, we also noticed something sitting on top of a hill we were about to climb. On top of this hill, we saw what looked like a big pile of rocks. We slowed to a crawl because it looked human. We thought maybe a calf had fell and gotten stuck, but this thing was sitting weird, basically how Spider-Man perches on a building, crouched down on top of this rock. As we are sitting there trying to figure out what we are seeing, this thing slowly stood up and my heart sank. Its arms were long, grossly long. I screamed to stop and instantly jumped from the front of the ATV to the driver, replacing my sister. As we were switching, this thing started to run at us, but it was running very strange. Its arms were swaying back and forth like a normal runner, but because of how long the arms were, it looked weird. You would think it would run on its long arms, but it didn't. It was running very quickly. I turned around and shot off straight through the field. My sisters were screaming as it was still coming, but I honestly could not look back at this point. I just said, don't look at it. We rounded the corner, and that was the last that we saw of it. As we got home, I crashed the ATV into the deck, trying to get into the house as fast as we could. We were so scared my parents actually believed us. They called all the family to warn that there is a trespasser. They said nobody had seen anything or anyone in the fields. Now I want to describe this thing for you. It was tall, skinny. It had no clothes. Just a body is what we saw. Grayish in color. Its head was not shaped like a human's. We were about 30 to 40 meters from this thing. It was during the day as well. It happened in Alberta, Canada. Deities would be cool. Yes. Derek, I'm glad that you're here with us too. Derek Davies. Shauna, it's rake is a creepypasta. The real name of the creature in cryptozoology is called the crawler. The rake is a creepypasta that was created by a guy named Tobias Wade in 2006 in his book Nightmares and Something Else that he wrote for creepypasta channels. Just tuned in from East. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about my email. But there's honestly nothing I can do about it. I had a Googler. I had a very interesting Dogman experience shared with me on Shelter Island. I actually had the young lady on here that had her dog. She had a Dogman encounter on Shelter Island at her old, like, her family is super rich. She lives in Manhattan, and they have like a summer cottage on Shelter Island, and there was a Dogman on there. Fucking crazy. Chud is definitely a freaky ass movie. What's a creepypasta channel? I don't know. Let me think. God, it's been so long. I don't even know. Swamp Dweller. He does some real stuff every once in a while. Mr. Creeps. The Dreads. A few other ones. But they're very talented. They're very talented people. Shauna Rain. Nobody knows where Dogman came from. Not there. There's nothing wrong with creepypasta channels at all. You know, they're entertaining stories. I don't like them. Because I think creepypasta channels or stories would be great if they didn't include cryptids, because what that does is that screws people up. You know, you hear a crazy creepypasta about a Dogman or a crawler or a Bigfoot, when they incorporate them. And people immediately are like, holy shit, that's absolutely terrifying. And then it's a creepypasta. Come find out it's a creepypasta. That really just kind of messes everything up. What's up, Kevin? Gringo, Jesus Christ. You know, Girth, there's what's that guy's name? There's a guy that does horror reviews of movies, and he does these creepypasta, and they're called creepypasta al dente. He has a thing called creepypasta al dente. It's really cool. Gringo just fucking, he's like, cha-ching, cha-ching. Thank you, Gringo. I appreciate that. You know what? Here, since we did a Dogman. This one's pretty. All right. I'm here in Charleston, West Virginia, but back in 2011, December 15th, I was traveling through Point Pleasant for work on US Route 35. It was about 3:30 in the morning, icy conditions, the roads were snow-covered, just your typical December early morning in West Virginia. I was going around this bend, and this large figure appeared in the roadway. I mean, I couldn't see anything beyond it. It looked to be maybe 8 to 10 feet in height. It looked like it had wings. I just stopped in the middle of the road. I couldn't go anywhere anyway. I froze. Not only was my vehicle stopped, but I froze, and this figure, whatever it was, just stood there in the middle of the road, and I was there for, I don't know, a minute or two. I mean, I don't know how long, but it seemed like forever. It finally darted off into the woods. I sat there for another few minutes trying to collect myself. I kept going around the bend, and about a mile up the road, a tractor trailer had jackknifed. There were no other vehicles around. It looked like it had just happened. Luckily, I was able to call emergency services and get them to the scene. I had this weird feeling about myself. Well, going back to 67, December 15th, there was the Silver Bridge. My great-grandfather actually went across the Silver Bridge an hour or so before it collapsed, and my great-grandma. I never had the chance to meet them, but my great-grandmother said, I never got a chance to meet my great-grandfather, but my great-grandmother said everything had happened. He had this weird feeling about himself going across that bridge, and as soon as he got to work, he worked at one of the factories out in Point Pleasant. He said he had a weird feeling about himself. I felt on December 15th of 2011, so many years before the Silver Bridge collapsed. I never really could tell what this creature was. I just know that it was big, dark figure, probably 50 feet in front of me. It was in my headlights. It was snowing. It was just me and this creature in this vehicle. It seemed to have wings, and it was 3 a.m. And this truck had just jackknifed. If I didn't stop, I possibly could have been in that accident. So December 15th in 1967 was the original Point Pleasant Mothman prophecy, where people had seen it. Then shortly after, the bridge collapsed. This guy, December 15th, 2011, some 55 years later, has a Mothman prophecy experience. Coincidence? I think not. Black-eyed person experience, my friends? Black-eyed person experience. Here we go. Teresa Black, I have many in Northern California. Aramic and Gringo are like, and 11 tonight have been diehard, but Gringo and Aramic, they go like neck for neck sometimes with the memberships. It's fucking incredible. You guys are just amazing. I've seen a black-eyed child. I definitely do not want to see a black-eyed child. I think I would like fucking, I don't even know. I'd probably RKO the little fucker. Back in the summer of 1997, I had a terrifying experience with what I know now to be the phenomenon known as the black-eyed person. At the time, I had never heard of these beings, and I had never bothered by the experience for many years. It just occurred to me to scour the internet to see if anyone else had witnessed anything like it. My encounter differs from any that I now discovered so far, as they were not trying to communicate with me, but they were rather trying to keep away from me, which, believe me, I now know was a good thing. It also differs in the fact that my experience happened in broad daylight rather in the late night like others. It was a hot summer day in 97. I was 15 at the time and was out with my friends. We lived in a small town called Grantham in Lincolnshire, UK. While out with friends, I was not far from my home and decided to go home and grab a quick drink, and my two friends accompanied me down to my house and waited outside while I went in to get a drink of water. I was quite thirsty, so I quickly drank 2 pints of water and went back outside. What a bad friend. He didn't even grab water for his friends. My friends had gone, so I decided that I would walk back to my friend's house, which was just around the corner. As I walked up the path to the street, I happened to look about 5 houses down from where my mom's friend lived. At the front of her gate, she had a wooden fence. At the time, and the driveway on the furthest side of the garden, there was also a wooden fence, and just behind it, there were 2 very large conifer trees that overhung on the fence. So looking down the street, I saw 2 people backed up to the fence, and the top of them was pushing back into the overhanging of the conifers. So I only saw 2 pairs of legs. Thinking that these were my friends messing around with me, I started walking toward them. As I got closer to them, I shouted out, "Come on, you 2, I can see you hiding there," thinking that they were trying to laugh or jump out at me. I smiled, but instead of coming out, they managed to jump up into the trees, over the fence, and come out into my mom's friend's garden. At this point, I am thinking, how could they have done this? Because the foliage on that tree was pretty thick. They did not stop there. They turned around toward the next garden and managed to climb over a 5-foot fence panel. As I watched them weirdly go over the panel, I shouted again to stop messing around. I said that it was weird the way they got over the fence because it wasn't a hop or a jump. I can only describe it as lizard-like. That's the only way that comes to my mind when I describe it. So I kept walking. Gringo! So I kept walking down the road and watched as they went over a 6-foot gate into the next door backyard garden. So I thought to myself, I know what to do. I would carry on walking and catch them when they came out of the next garden. I picked up my pace, carried on, and caught sight of them in the next garden and stopped dead in my tracks. As I looked in horror at what I had been chasing, they stood a few feet from each other. One looked like a teenager. He was wearing the fashion of the time, which was a blue puffer jacket, which was zipped up. He was wearing the jogging bottoms that had studs on the legs, which we are called poppers. some trainers, and a baseball cap. I didn't look at his face as the other one caught my attention nearly straight away. This one was much older, very pale skin. The top of his head was completely bald, but around the side of his head, he had long, greasy black hair. He was wearing a long trench coat, which went down to his ankles, and boots. His hands had long fingers, which ended in what looked like sharp, dirty nails. He had a big hooked nose, and his eyes were pure black. It looked so evil. As my eyes met his, I felt like time stood still. Nothing was moving, not a leaf, not a breeze. Nobody else was on the street. Silence. I couldn't move as I was paralyzed with fear and terror. I knew it was staring at me into my eyes, maybe into my soul. I stood rooted into that spot for what felt like hours, but must have only been a couple of minutes. I broke eye contact, turned, and ran for what felt like my entire life back to my house. When I got inside, I sat down and cried like a big baby. I couldn't console myself. It took me a while to compose myself and tell my parents what happened. They did not know what to do. I sat down and drew what I had seen. I still have the drawing today. Not that I need it. That image will stay etched into my mind forever. I could probably draw exactly the same one 30 years later. I don't know what this thing was. It definitely was not a human. Over the years, it has played on my mind, bringing many questions without answers. I thought it was either an alien or a demon or any other monster in between. Some of the questions brought me apart from what it was. How did they climb the fence the way they did? Why were they wearing such large jackets on a boiling hot day? After reading another account of these black-eyed people, why were they out in the middle of the day on a normal street in a small town? Why'd they run from me? I hope no one ever has to experience these black-eyed beings, and if you do see one, run. It turned out that my friends went straight back to their house when they left me. I was quite angry with them for a while and told them what happened, for them to laugh at me and think I was joking. I've never been more serious about a thing. This is not a laughing matter. I dread to think what could have happened if I hadn't run off. Please be aware of these creatures and take care of yourself. 3Cat Mom, thank you. Yeah, definitely run like a mother. What's going on, Rockin' Steady? I missed you. I'm sorry. How are you, my friend? Andy Davis, what's going on, my brother? How are you doing? How is life treating you? Fords suck. No, I did not get a pick, Mickey Mouse. Tigger started the live stream with us. Simone, have a good night. Thank you for joining us. That's pretty creepy there, Charles Widmore. Joel Burgess, top of the morning to ya. What's up, Kentucky blue-eyed girl? Brian Cook, how are you, buddy? Yeah, really quick. So, a month ago, we lost a dear subscriber, dude from Texas, but I wanted to kind of give Mr. Shackleneck a shout out. We almost lost him about a month ago too. Thank God he got to the hospital and got everything taken care of, but he did almost pass away too. Crazy. Clint. I don't use Facebook, Mickey. So email me. I honestly, I don't use Facebook at all. I haven't used Facebook in a very, very long time. Only to contact Jane. But I don't get on Facebook or use it because the government monitors it. Like it's their own little, like, that's why I kind of laugh at these like paranormal encrypted when they're talking about everything and they're like, the government will never find us. They're reading it. Closeted Psychic, thank you for joining us tonight. It was good seeing you. I hope to see you soon. I'm doing well, Brian. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Did you just call Cowboy Cumboy Andy Davis? Wow. They will never find us, Aramic. Clint, my dad is well. My dad is well. Many people, Sean or Rain, have been attacked by Dogman. Yes. Hang on a sec. I got to turn the AC off. Did you ever like your AC is too like cold and your feet feel like they're burning? Gringo, stop it. You're being too kind to me. I almost buzzed my head this week. I almost shaved it all off. Thank you, Aramic. And me right back to you. Me right back to you. You know I do. Even though me and you have had our little bits and pieces in the beginning. Steve Bonus. I know. I didn't, Brandy. I didn't. My bangs are just too long. Armando Angel. My dad just turned 66. Nice. Gringo, I love you too, brother. I love you too. Any swamp fairies or mimics? Mimics, I don't believe are creepypasta. There are creepypasta stories about mimics and swamp fairies. But I do believe that mimics are real 100%. I've had a few that are really fucking creepy. I was contacted with some weird visual manner. I could see them. I actually, Joe Smith, I just reading yours. That just reminded me, I got to contact a subscriber. A subscriber last week in the live stream was on here and he was talking about he was hunting and something happened to where DNR contacted him and some weird shit has been going on. He saw something in the woods that he should not have. It's just something about your name. You got to yell out, Armando Angel. You got to yell it. This is one of those things. Cowboy 5 Rings. Andy Davis called you Cumboy. I can't believe he did that. How dare he, Andy Davis? Judith, I agree. I agree with you. I know it was, Andy. I love fucking with you. I got to make you laugh, man. I feel like I owe you a laugh every time I see you. Judith Donner, you said it completely. I don't like scare. I mean, I will watch a scary movie if I'm bored. But to me, these experiences and shit is much better than, I would rather learn something because we're all learning about this stuff constantly, so. I have a pretty long one. That did not sound good. I can't find it now. Heard a door shut. That is what she said, Mr. Rollins. All right, where the fuck is it? Is this it? This is it right here. All right, I'm going to share this experience and the lot lizard experience right after this. This one's really fucking creepy, and it's a pretty long experience. My experiences took place in the early 80s in Toronto, Canada. And just like the fellow writing of his experiences, mine also took place in an old house. The house was at least 75 years old and has since been razed to the ground, and a brand new structure was built in its place. When my family moved in there, we experienced the same sort of events, arguments, abusive situations, the strange phenomena, but not to a point where we all noticed it right away. In fact, my younger brother was a bit of a skeptic up to the point where things began happening to him as well. I think he took his attitude to allay the fears he must have had. Our father moved out of the house after the first year and away to another part of the country, so it was just the three of us. At one point, we had family come and live with us before they too departed. Our experiences began with an event I will never forget when I was 16. It was the summer, and I had difficult sleeping. This went on for approximately a month. Then, one night, I had fallen into a light sleep when I was violently awoken. I recall hearing a sound that I thought was an explosion and thinking that our stove must have exploded in the kitchen below me. I opened my eyes and looked around my room in the darkness, but saw nothing to indicate anything was happening. Suddenly, my bed began to shake violently up and down, and it felt as though I was being electrocuted through my solar plexus. I couldn't move, but I could see my feet were moving the bed when the bed was jumping up and down. Some objects rose off of my dresser and shot toward my bed. I thought they were going to hit me as they approached with such speed. In fact, they stopped suddenly and began to swirl around in a counterclockwise position directly above me. And from the center of this swirl, a bright white light appeared, and voices which were like a high-pitched shriek or nails on a blackboard said quite clearly, "The message we bring is to tell the people he is still alive." And then everything stopped suddenly. I was terrified and basically thought I would end up in a nut house. I remember shaking from fear so much I could barely get out of my room. I made it to my mom's room to tell her about what happened, at which point she assured me I was having a nightmare. "Say your prayers and go back to bed," she said. I returned back to my room after an hour or more and still couldn't sleep. In fact, it was a long time before I could sleep there. The next event happened the following January. I was coming home very late one night and decided to take a shortcut through the alley by our street. I passed a parked van with windows all around, and I saw a movement in the van which made me feel somehow, by the size and shape and response, that it was a Doberman someone had left in their van. I kept walking, but the thought pestered me that someone would leave their dog outside in a van in the middle of winter at night. So I went back to the van and cautiously peered in, but there was nothing there at all. Not even a cushion or anything hanging from the ceiling. Okay, I thought I must have imagined it. I happily kept walking home, and when I was in the alley, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me in the snow. I got a little freaked out, and when I turned my head, I didn't see anyone or anything there. As I got to the end of the alleyway, I turned onto my street. I looked back to the entrance to see if anyone was following me. What I saw shocked and terrified me. There was a street light right at the corner, and in the pool of this light was standing an enormous creature. It was at least 8 feet tall, huge. What struck me was that its form was completely black. There was no reflective surfaces whatsoever. In fact, the light was shining directly on it and seemed to absorb the light. It had large things on its head, which I took as horns or ears, and its fingers ended in points like claws on its feet as well. Its eyes were red, completely red, staring at me. I didn't think my feet touched the ground. I had ran so fast. After that experience, I had a few other with that same creature. Another night, I came home late again and fell onto my bed after shutting my door and wanting to sleep. My cat was in the bed with me when we both heard a voice laughing in the room. It was a masculine voice. My cat freaked out and ran to the door, scratching and meowing loudly to get out. I opened the door and she took off. I just didn't want to believe anything was in there with me, so I pointedly turned my back to the rest of the room and then went to sleep. Another night, I turned over and opened my eyes early in the morning, and there was that same creature, smaller though, standing in front of my closet, staring at me. I recall I got really mad and told it to F off and turned around and went back to bed. Meanwhile, my brother had seen the exact same creature, but he had yellow eyes. He confided his experience to me years later when we had left the house and had no knowledge of each other's experiences. He told me he had awakened early one morning and found that he had left the light on in his room, thinking that he should get up and turn it off. He turned onto his back and opened his eyes, and there, sitting on his bed headboard, was that same creature, talons on its feet and hands, completely black, with no reflective surfaces. But his was, he said, about 4 feet tall and squatting on the headboard, staring down at him with yellow eyes. He said he was very terrified and decided not to turn the light off after all. I don't remember if he said it vanished quickly or if he had shut his eyes and when he opened them, it was gone. He said he never saw it again, but had some other strange experiences in that house. One day we decided we should trade rooms, so I moved all of my stuff out of my room and into his, and vice versa. I teased him and said he'd have to share my room with the visitor, but he was disbelieving. After I had moved to his room, I had my last experience. Gringo, thank you! In that house. That was the shadow people realm. I woke up one night to the sound of my room rustling. I was wide awake because I thought it might be a mouse. I switched on my lamp and looked toward the other end of the room, but seeing and hearing nothing, I lie down again with my light still on. Arabic, thank you! I turned to look at the clock and it was now 2:20. Then I saw these two large globes of light behind my nightstand. I was frozen up on one elbow because I had been about to turn off the light again. They moved in a way that reminded me of balloons falling. The larger of the two was a golden yellow in color, the smaller blue. They look like spheres. Hang on a second. I just got a weird feeling. Hang on, sorry. I'll tell you in a second. They look like spheres. Da, 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 da. shown vanish halfway down. Someone's intelligent. They knew that I was looking at them and they wanted me to see them. The larger golden one floated almost majestically to the door, whereupon it flattened to a pancake and went under the door. The second, smaller, bluer one did the same. I was very nervous and scared at that point, but only because I had to go to the bathroom, and this meant I had to get up out of my bed and into the hallway where they had just vanished. Our hallway was very dark and without proper lighting, as the house was old and not renovated yet. I waited for as long as I could, which was only 15 minutes, and then I cautiously opened my door and went. The hallway was pitch black, so my plan was to inch my way to the bathroom with my back to the wall so nothing could sneak up behind me. And once I got there, I could turn on the bathroom light to illuminate the hallway. I followed my plan through, and as it turned out, when I turned on the bathroom light, it shone down onto the stairs onto the first landing. In the light were two shadow people. I have only ever thought of them that way because there was no other way to describe them. They looked like shadows, only they were in the light. They didn't look like the other creature I had seen. In fact, they looked like people in the sense that they had a head and arms and legs and torso and hands and such. They threw up their hands as though in surprise, like I had caught them unexpectedly, and then flew down the stairs without a sound. It took me a long time to come out of the bathroom. And I didn't want to encounter any of these things again. These creatures never touched me, at least to my knowledge, and they never tried to hurt me, although they did scare the dickens out of me. I recall telling these experiences to people later, years later, in other parts of the world, hearing familiar tales and wondering just what they could be. Somehow we don't seem that much closer to knowing. I would conjecture through that, as in this case with plant and life, insect life, here we certainly haven't gotten all the facts in yet. Perhaps these creatures share the world we live in, but indifferent, and we have learned to ignore them or pretend they do not exist. Maybe they are trying to tell us they exist, perhaps like us. There are those with good intentions and those with not so good intentions. It's my opinion that we are getting closer to the truth every day. So I think that it would be more like inorganic being. Claire, have a good night. Thank you for joining us. I have a Goatman experience, Brian, to share. I'll share it in a minute. But inorganic beings, here, I want to share this with you guys quick. Oh, I got a weird feeling about my daughter. I had a weird feeling in that middle of the thing. Like, Belle texted me and needed me because she's spending the night at her friend's house. And sure enough, she texted me, but just to say goodnight, I love you. Inorganic being. All right, here. This is from the University of Hawaii. Inorganic beings, what are they? They are forces neither good nor evil in the Nagal. An ally is a force, a tension, just like in the case of a tree. The only way to know what an ally is by experiencing it. It is not your reason that puts ally together, it is the body. You have perceived ally in many degrees on this occasion. They are conscious beings. There are two types of conscious beings roaming the earth: inorganic, inorganic. The only similarity between inorganic and organic beings is all of them have an awareness, bestowing pink or peach or amber nations. emanations, whatever. They are luminescent masses. Inorganic beings are long and candle-like but opaque. Their energy. And then there's this one. Inorganic beings. This is what I think they are. Hang on a second. Let me get to this. Okay. So inorganic beings compared to Hawaii, the University of Hawaii did a thesis on these things. And then another gentleman wrote a book about them. Don Miguel Ruiz. And this is what he says. Abstract terminology. So they live in alternate dimensions, aside of our dimension. And they're an energy, an entity, dreams taking energy, all to the confusion and often create superstition. That superstition can lead to fear. Fear is the big demon that sucks your energy. Of course, once you have fear of some entity that cannot be seen, you then might want to protect yourself as a reaction to the unknown. So he believes that these things can essentially feel our fear. So when we're in the woods, right? Let's say an inorganic being is in our dimension, and wow, that fucking scared me. And it can sense our fear, like we're imagining a crawler or something. And just to feed off of our energy, it will then replicate our fear of a crawler and show us a crawler. It's very interesting. Not a shapeshifter, inorganic being. Non-organic organisms and Paul, they're two different things. There's two different non-organic. Inorganic doesn't mean organic and doesn't mean like vegetables or that. It doesn't mean any of that. Look it up, read the theses, and it'll blow you away. What's up, Hardith? Yeah, they are energy and very old, yes. Steve, how are you, buddy? Sean and Rain, my family that lives in Hogansburg, on the reservation, the Wendigo is Native American. It's First Nation, usually Canada, Algonquin, like up in Canada, Michigan, Algonquin, Mohawk, Huron, and a few others all believe in the Wendigo. It's not like culturally or like countrywide. But they are perceived as a mist, and this is in my culture, a mist, a black mist, a emaciated human being, or a very large cryptid. White cryptid. All right. Lot lizard experience. Jody, have a good night, buddy. Gringo! In the grimy underbelly of a desolate truck stop, where the night cast an eerie glow upon the shadowy lot, there lived a peculiar creature, a lot lizard, a prostitute by profession and a lizard by nature. She possessed an uncanny combination of charm and horror that attracted and repelled her unsuspecting victims. Her appearance was both intriguing and unsettling. Her shimmering scales, a vibrant emerald green, gave her an otherworldly allure. Her eyes, piercing and reptilian, seemed to see through the souls of those who crossed her path. Her long, forked tongue flickered rapidly, tasting the air for potential prey. Despite her monstrous form, she had a mischievous sense of humor that made her infamous amongst the truckers. She would often greet customers with a sly wink and a witty remark. "Well, look who slithered in," she would hiss in a sardonic grin. I do love it when my scales get a little red hot. However, beneath her playful exterior lurked a deadly secret. Sharp claws and a venomous bite were a constant reminder of her predatory nature. Once she ensnared a victim, she would use her powerful venom to paralyze them, leaving them at her mercy. As the sun began to ascend, casting its golden rays on the truck stop, she would retreat to her lair, a dilapidated trailer at the far end of the lot. There, she would shed her reptilian form and reveal her true identity as a beautiful yet mysterious woman named Lisa. By day, Lisa was a quiet and unassuming waitress at the truck stop. She seemed harmless enough, but truck drivers whispered stories of her true nature, tales of a monstrous creature that lurked in the shadows, preying on weary and unsuspecting truckers. And so, the legend of Lisa the Lot Lizard creature grew. She became a tale for truck drivers, a reminder that even in the most mundane of places, danger lurks in the most unsuspecting forms. And as wheels of countless rigs rolled through that truck stop, the name of Lisa echoed through the darkness, a sinister and unforgettable whisper in the wind. Lisa the Lot Lizard, we love you, Lisa the Lot Lizard. God damn, Lisa. Lisa. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm going to have to go to me a truck stop. Oh, shit. Brian Cook, since you've been talking about Goatman, I've got a Goatman experience that happened like 30 minutes from my house in the Adirondacks. I live near Whitehall, New York. One night, my partner was taking out the garbage and came back inside, startled and shaken. They said they had seen a creature that looked like a fox or a coyote, but that it stood on its hind legs, so they booked it back inside. Fast forward about a month later, I'm outside on the porch smoking a cigarette. We have a small plot next to our house that has a tow-behind landscaping trailer permanently parked on it about 20 feet from our house. After a while of standing outside, I get the sudden and overwhelming feeling like something is watching me. It should be noted that, like most people up here, I usually carry a firearm. There are lots of wildlife and predators, so I kind of checked my surroundings. When I looked over to the trailer, I saw that there was something the size of a very large dog lying in the grass. Mind you, it is a clear night with not quite a full moon, and the grass is uncut and long, but not like a meadow, about 8 inches high. So I had a pretty good view of this thing. Now I know I never approach a random animal bedded down at night, so I just kind of watch it for a second. Even in the light of the moon, its outline and coat were pitch black, unnaturally contrasting against the ground it lay on. Then it looks up. It has piercing red eyes. I'm thinking, what the fuck, as I put my hand on my revolver. And then it stood up. It stood on its hind legs. The only way I can describe its legs were that of a goat or a human hybrid from Narnia, but with the torso of a hybrid of a man and canine. It also seemed to have horns. It was taller than me. I'm 6'1". It didn't even need to take a step. I backed away to the door, locked and bolted it. I spent the rest of the night wondering what I had just seen. Now, I will admit I am a religious man, but that thing does not fit any description of any creature I have ever heard of. It is to this day one of the few things in my life that I cannot explain. We've installed security cameras since, but now the lot is under construction and we haven't seen it since. I don't know what it was that I saw that night, but I intend to find out one way or another. I want to go into the forest near the plot and look for evidence, but I am unsure what I am really looking for. All right. With that, my friends, I want to thank you. And I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me tonight. I want to thank Gringo. I want to thank Aramic, 11, and anybody else who blessed the channel tonight. Thank you. I want to thank all of you guys for being here with us. And I had a blast as normal. I've been working on the Andy Davis, if you want to. I've been working on the map downstairs, the pin map, and I have more encounters marked off. I've also bought, so the news and media cover-up attacks are in red. The white are encounters, and deep underground military bases are now in blue. In October, I'm going to start working downstairs more and doing more on camera than off camera. So I think it's going to be a good month next month. But like I said, I'm going to take a little bit. I'm probably not going to do 5 videos a day. I'll probably do 3. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. And thank you once again. And I hope to see you guys, all of you guys. We had a great time tonight. 362 people. Thank you for all coming and having fun. With that, I love you all. But in true fashion and in the best Aussie I can ever do, I love you all. Sharon, love you guys. Have a good night. Thank you.